Summertime when it's summertime. One of mine, just one of mine. One of mine, you ain't one of mine. Summertime when it's summertime. Anytime when it's time to grind.
What's going on, YouTube? This episode is officially brought to you by Official Catch-Up Clothing. This right here, a special one-on-one. I don't even want to show you the feats it was made for. Just know they fire. Official Catch-Up Clothing on IG, officialcatchupclothing.com. Trust me, you don't want to miss the fire that's coming, man. Why get left behind when all you gotta do is catch up? You feel me? Thank you for tuning in for yet another episode of The Room. I go by the name of Desmond Bonet, but y'all already knew that. Today I got another special guest. He go by the name of Juwan Marshall, my Virgo brother. Last week we had Kev. Shout out to Kev. We dived into, just his clothing line, Define Ghetto, and, just his story. And today we're going to do a little bit of the same, just the story might be a little different. So without further ado, let me welcome my guy, Juwan Marshall, to the room.
What's going on, fam?
What's good, man?
How y'all doing?
Now listen, man.
Glad to be here, by the way.
No problem. Appreciate that. That. This is a great place to be, man.
Y'all could tell.
Just want to let you know.
Good, thank you.
Like this is amazing right now. like I want the people to understand like how amazing this is, man.
Yeah, good vibes, good energy all the time whenever I come over here.
I'm an amazing guy. Like
yo,
y'all don't understand that. Like
just off rip, man. He not even bragging. That's not even him being. That's just him. You feel me?
Just catch up.
Exactly.
Ooh, like that plug. Alright, so y'all know me. I don't want to spend time boring anybody or just talking too much. And usually, I would do the whole intro, but since I have my guy here, and he's also involved in some things that I learned, for myself for the first time when we did our conversations episode. But I want him to repeat it for everyone here because I'm personally proud, man. Not only are you studying screenwriting, but you're also in school right now trying to obtain something. So speak a little bit about that, man.
Well, right now I got accepted into Berkeley College recently, and I'm studying on financial marketing. So that way, I have something to like lean on, like other than screenwriting, because I want to be versatile in like everything that I do, or every profession that I do. That's one thing I'm doing.
23 years old, right?
Yep, 23.
Jordan year, about to touch 24, September.
Well, August 23rd.
I forgot. Yeah, it's the August Virgo.
Yeah, the best Virgos. Just saying.
September, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is.
Yo, that's a conversation for another day.
Y'all know what it is, man. But like I said in the intro, man, this is it's somebody I know on a personal level. We met at a previous job, that I used to work at, and anybody who knows anything about me, I'm not the most friendly person. I'm not the most friendly person. I don't just give out conversations to anybody. So really having a conversation to end up one-on-one, whatever, is really something. And I'm not saying that in a cocky way. I'm not. It's just I'm very, very secure, private, and I'm very aware of my time and my peace. And I just don't believe in speaking for no reason. So if I do speak to someone, and whether it's giving knowledge or it could be just having a conversation about what's going on through the day, it'll still be something constructive within that conversation. I just don't believe in talking for no reason. That's just me personally, man. So that's a big part of why, I even wanted to do this with people like this. This is a young black man, and I want to point that out just for, everything that's going on today, everything that's been going on. And a lot of the times with the quote-unquote therapy, people who come from where we come from, is not looked at as a cool thing.
It's like it's frowned upon. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, you say
it's frowned upon.
Frowned upon, like it's just it became the normal to not deal with certain things the professional way. You go to a suburban neighborhood, Caucasian neighborhood, whatever have you, it's normal. Charlie, you're feeling a little off. Let's call the therapist. Some people laugh at that, but it's a real thing. It's just something that they're used to. PTSD is mostly common with veterans.
Yeah, it's very true.
But when you grow up in the ghetto, in a neighborhood where
you have to look over your shoulder all the time, and like there's different things you have to watch out for. You have to watch out for cops. You have to watch out for other people who might cave on you.
Talk about it.
You have to also watch out for like just random things that be going on, or like certain corners you're not supposed to go around, or like watch out for this person on the corner, that person on the corner, or watch out for this girl because she's known to do this or X, Y, and Z, or watch out for that cop because he's known to do X, Y, and Z. So there's a lot of things and a lot of variables that you have to watch out for, like growing up in the hood. You know?
And a lot of these things, contribute to something that just a lot of men. I'm gonna start off with men. It contributes to this number one thing that a lot of men are kind of either brought up to distance themselves from it, or just to kind of suppress it. And I'm talking about feelings, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's a heartbreak, whatever the emotion is, whatever the feeling that's tied to it. As men, we're brought up a certain way, and we're told, man up, or just, anything like that. Man up, what are you crying for? Brush it off, like, get your shit together. Just things like that. So men tend to kind of distance themselves from that emotional tie, in a sense.
That's true.
And that's what PTSD, in my opinion, does. And once again, I've never been to school for this. I'm not a therapist. This is really just me speaking through experiences. And growing up in certain environments, when you see certain things, it can affect your mental.
Right.
And that's going to affect your everyday life. It's like, and anyone who disagrees with that, just think of walking around without a brain. It's impossible, right?
Yeah.
Your mind is with you all the time. Having a healthy mind is more than a priority. It's an essential function,
right,
to really do what we want to do in the correct way. Do it with a clear mind. Do it with a clear heart. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So without further ado, what I want to do is, I just want to start from the beginning, right?
Let's do it.
Born and raised in Queens, right? Well, yeah. I don't want to say raised yet, but born in Queens.
Yes, sir.
Southside Jamaica. Shout out to 50, one of my favorite rappers.
Shout out to Unit.
If you have an early memory, like your earliest memory from your childhood, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Wow. I would say, taking that walk from my house to, my school at the time, or preschool at the time with my mom, or if my mom had to go to work, like I would get in a cab with her, she would drive me off to school, then she would go on to work. And I have fragments of my memory that I remember, like certain times during preschool. Like I remember my 3rd birthday party, my grandmother showed up, and she bought this big, humongous cake, and everyone had fun and all of that. They was playing music. I had fun, from what I remember. Another thing I remember is, where I grew up at, it was very diverse. Like, there was this long road of where I lived. So there was a certain point you weren't allowed to go past. So like you couldn't cross that bridge because like that was considered like the other side of the neighborhood. And, like it was really bad.
What specific neighborhood is this?
Well, I grew up in Springfield Gardens, Queens, and where I wasn't allowed to go was to Rosedale. Like once you cross that bridge over the conduit, like that's considered Rosedale or like Brookville or whatnot. And then that area was considered like a little bit rough, but mine was too, kind of, sort of, if that makes any sense. But it wasn't as bad as like over the bridge.
Got you. Just different levels of bad, different levels of bad. So that's so you would say your earliest childhood comes from. It's you wouldn't say it's a bad memory. What I got from what you just said, that's kind of like a joyful memory. Your mom's taking you to school, getting in a cab, dropping you off. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's start from there. Take me to the childhood. Was it just your mom's?
It was myself, my mother, my grandmother, and 2 of my aunts that I lived with. So I was the only boy that was there. I obviously had like cousins and whatnot. I would go over to their house, but mainly growing up, I was just always around them. So, like looking back on it, it was like a gift and a curse growing up with them because I feel like there's certain characteristics as a man you should be able to know, like your father or like your uncle would be able to like teach you. Not saying that my uncles didn't, like they obviously did, but they weren't always there, you know. They weren't always around me to like show me certain things or like do certain things with me. So a lot of that I had to learn on my own, or like to go through trial and error. And then, you know, growing up with all women, that also taught me to be like very clean. Like my mother raised me like right. I have manners. I'm very respectful. I know how to talk to people. You know, that's
most Virgos do.
So that's one thing I will say. Like I'm really grateful for. Like she raised me like to be the man I am today.
So your two aunts, right, and your mother
and my grandmother
and your grandmother. If you don't mind diving in, was there a relationship with your father there?
Well, I remember like bits and pieces of like him being there, but like all I really remember most of the time was just like them arguing. I didn't really remember him being around like that. You know. And then when I look back and I seen, you know, older pictures of me, I seen like I was there with him and I was laughing and I was joking, but like having an actual physical memory of him, like just being around, like I don't. It's because like my mom and my dad, like their relationship wasn't like the best. Like they had that relationship where like if I see you out in the street, it's on sight. Well, based on my mom, because like my mom does not like my father like whatsoever. So whatever issues they had, well, I guess like it kind of drove him to just like remove himself and not be around my mom. But I'm not trying to discredit her or anything like that, because you know that's my mother. I love her to death. I'll do anything for her. But you know, like he just felt like he just needed time away, or like he just needed to remove himself from that. And my mother did an amazing job raising me. But you know, it's just sometimes I would feel a little envious of people like who were raised and had their father with them, because there's certain things that father and the son should like do together, and I feel like there's a certain bond that would be there. And I feel like if my father was there like in my life as I was growing up, he could have taught me certain things to do and what not to do, and it could have caused me like a lot of heartache from myself, my family, and then other people around me.
What's some of the things you'll be able to speak about as far as like what's something, whether it's a situation you got into or just an act that you felt like if your father was there, it could have been prevented because maybe you would have had the knowledge to, you know, not do.
That's a good question. I feel like, well, for starters, honestly, I feel like if my father was around, he would have pushed me for, like to go out and do sports like a lot more. I'm telling you right now, my father would have been around, I'd have been a nasty basketball player. I'm just telling you that right up front, because I suck in basketball. But other than that, you know, it's just certain things as a man, like you know, you're not supposed to do. Like I would say, like as I was growing up, I caught myself gossiping a lot, and then you know, as a man, like that's not really like a manly thing to do. Another thing is to you know, stand up for myself. Other things was to be, you know, like certain things is like as far as fighting, I got into a lot of fights growing up, and I didn't know how, like at first I didn't know how to like handle myself. I didn't really know what I was doing. I would just get angry and like not swing back. But lo and behold, like at some point I would just have to swing back. So you know, like if I'd have told my father early on like I was getting bullied or like I was getting treated this way, he would have like told me like, yo, you're supposed to fight. You're supposed to stand up for yourself. You know, you're not gonna let anybody like push you around or take advantage of you.
A lot of people don't. Well, let me not say a lot of people. A lot of people. Let me not say they don't. A lot of people might be unaware, and that's why, you know, it's important to have. It's a reason why conversations like this are important. Even if it's not really with me, you know, just make sure it's with somebody that you're comfortable with and somebody that you know that you're okay opening up to about certain things. And the reason why I say that is because everything that you said, without someone knowing the root of it, meaning you growing up with your grandmother, your mother, and your two aunts, a lot of kids who kind of have those characteristics, whether it may be gossiping or not being able to stand up for yourself. Growing up in a certain environment, it gets translated as, oh, you're soft, or, you know, excuse my French, you're pussy. Right. You know, just kids just kind of throw all of these things on. Kids just kind of throw all of these things on it, and even adults. There's a lot of adults who still have what I like to say childlike tendencies, and they kind of operate in that matter. And it's important to know, because knowing that he's grown up with only women. Number one, growing up with women doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you soft. It doesn't make you feminine. So I wanna put that on the table.
You're just a different breed. That's all.
And once again, it's important to know because he just said it himself. If his father was around, he would have known that, it's just certain things that might not be okay for a man to do.
Right.
But you always have, in my opinion, you always have to go to the past to kind of get a better understanding of the present so you can be prepared for the future. Exactly. So, I know I interrupted, but I just want to make that point because it's a very good point. You grew up with all women, and your father wasn't really there. Before we get more to your father, let's keep touching on the childhood. So it's you. I want to say that's 4, right? 4 women, 2 Owen's grandmother. Yeah, that's 4. You 4 women. Take me kind of just through the years of you growing up, from early on, and kind of how did it change you? How did it change you across the years? As far as you growing up with women, did it even change at all, or was it just a normal thing? You don't really think about it. You don't really think too much of what it does to your character, or was it still in your head like I'm the only boy in the house with?
It early on I didn't think too much of it, but again, early on, I would see my cousins, they would have like their fathers around, and then I'd be like the little boy on the other side of the fence just looking at it like, damn, I wish that was me. But at first I didn't really think of it that much. I didn't feel like it took that much of a toll on me, but until I got into, I want to say, junior high school, I feel like there like certain things I would do, like people would look at me a certain way, be like, yo, what? Like, why would you do that? Or like, why would you say that? Or even sometimes now, like I would do certain things and then people would just look at me like why would you say that? Or why would you do that? So
I've had a few moments.
Yeah. So
we're gonna dive, more into the relationship with your father and things like that, because I do know that there is an existing relationship now.
Right. Yeah.
Before we get to that, before I even get into the question I want to ask is, if you do have an early memory as far as something traumatic, whether it's a feeling that I don't want to say never really, well, I could say that, whether it's a feeling that you never really got over, that kind of just traveled along with you, as you got older, or whether it was a traumatic situation, just as far as trauma, anything you can, I guess, categorize as something being like a traumatic thing.
Well, growing up?
Yeah.
Well, when I was 7, well, not a lot of people know this, but when I was 7, I got hit by a bus, and that was pretty traumatic. And like just lying there, and I was just like feeling like, wow, like am I gonna like ever be able to walk again, because I fractured both my legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then like just dealing with that, like mentally at that age, it was just a lot, so. And on top of that, to make things worse, like my mom or like the women around me, sometimes they would be a little like I'm gonna say overprotective, but like they was just always very cautious of like what I was doing, who I was around, and like they didn't allow me to like. It's actually funny. They didn't really allow me to listen. Like growing up, they didn't really allow me to listen to like hip hop and R&B like that. But one of my aunts, she was, like very into like hip hop, R&B. So what I would do is like if I wanted to like listen to the like newest
That's
song.
surprising, because I could honestly say you one of the most knowledgeable people that I know, especially when it comes to just not even old hip hop. Like even I could say last year's hip hop. Like you know hip hop. He's listen. I had a freestyle that I did not too long ago, and it's because of this guy. He sent me the beat. The beat was fire, but yeah, that's surprising.
Yeah, well, I had to, do my research because I got into high school and then I had a conversation with friends and then they was talking about, yo, nah, this album was fire, or like that album was fire. And then they'd be talking about songs and albums and I'd be like, well, I don't know what really y'all talking about, because I wasn't allowed to like listen to certain stuff like that. And, growing up, I went to church, I went to church all my life. And then there was a situation there where it was just like, I couldn't be around it, anything like that anymore, because I realized, like, I wouldn't say all churches, but the church I went to, they weren't really like, well, actually, they were more judgmental of your character on what you was doing, more than like loving it. It was more worried about like bragging or like who has the best stuff, who has the best church choir, who has the best like this, that, and the third, etc. and whatnot. But yeah, there was that. And another thing growing up, being the fact that I was the only child, it's funny because people would think that I got, whatever I wanted whenever I asked. Like, let me tell y'all something. I was just as broke as y'all. Like, I struggled the same way y'all did. Like, people with like siblings or whatever you have, or whatever have you. They would say, oh, I gotta share with my sibling, or I gotta do this with my sibling, I gotta share everything with him. It's like, yo, I completely agree with you, because there was times where, like, my mom was raising me and like she was the only one like doing the thing and doing her part, raising me, like paying all the bills and whatnot. It was rough. Like there was times where I didn't have like what I really wanted. Like my cousin, he had all the latest games, he had all the latest sneakers, he had the flash clothes. Like I had to like wait, for the longest. And I was like dressed down in hand-me-downs and whatnot, and I was dressed down and like I had my mom had got me the U.S. Polo Association shirt. And I used to wear that to school, and I thought I was the flyest until someone, flamed me and said that's not the real polo and all of that. So there was another time in high school, my mom, she couldn't give me the sneakers that I wanted. So I had to wait and wait and wait. And I finally got them. And then next year, I was waiting for, sneakers and clothes and whatever. And I wasn't able to get that because, at that time, like, bills was really tight. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm really thankful that I have, like, good friends in my circle. Like, my homie from high school, he actually loaned me, he gave me a pair of his sneakers. Well, actually 2 pairs of his sneakers.
It's a good dude, man.
Yes.
It's a good dude.
Shout out to Charles. Appreciate you. It's real love back in the day. I appreciate you, man.
That's real. That's real. Let's go back before we continue on. Let's just go back to where you started. So, the car accident. 7 years old, got hit. Sorry, bus accident. 7 years old, got hit by a bus. Now, being that you're older now, and once we get older, we can kind of look back on things clearer and kind of see it for what it is, and also won't be afraid to admit kind of what was going on in that moment. So, once again, like I said, you're 7. Kind of speak to me about, well, even if there was like a thought to want or need like your father in that moment, was there that feeling there for you?
Honestly, a little bit. Like as I was healing, my mom was just so afraid, and it was actually more so my grandmother and my aunts. They were more so afraid of me, like going outside and like playing with my friends. But my legs healed. I was able to walk and run again. But like they would just be so cautious of like what I was doing. Like they'd be like, "Where are you going? Make sure you're not doing this, that, and the third. Or make sure you're not running too fast. Make sure you're not jumping over things. Make sure just be careful." I feel like sometimes like they would go over the top to protect me, which is understandable. But I feel like if my father was there, he would just tell my mom, well, he's a boy, like he's gonna sometimes get hurt, or like little boys sometimes get hurt, or like they just get into mischief. That's what it is. So I feel like if he was there, he could have kind of take the pressure off a little bit, and I would have been more outgoing at that age than I am right now. Because growing up, I was outgoing, but I wasn't outgoing. Like I was really sheltered. I was really quiet to myself. I didn't really like talk to people like that. You know, I didn't really come out my shell like that. So I feel like that kind of played a toll into what was going on.
So just to kind of, you know, stay in that realm, and I guess that time frame. Everything we spoke about, of course is true to you. Of course is your life, you know, traumatic experiences, early memories, everything like that. Now let's kind of dive into more of the traumatic side. So as far as drugs or alcohol, if that was around, kind of speak to me about the experience of just, you know, seeing that. Or
honestly, the truth be told, like, the only person that drank in my house was like really my aunt, and then she would just only drink wine. Like, she wasn't like a drinker like that. And, you know, my mom doesn't drink, my aunt doesn't drink, my grandmother doesn't drink. So there was never any of that, you know, going on like as I was growing up. Like, I grew up around like a loving like family. Like, my family is like really, really tight with each other, you know, and like they're very, very protective and loving. So like when it came down to me, like, and if I got hurt, everybody was around and, you know, like showing me love and all that. But I would say, like, going back to what I said, I felt like you know, the women living in my family, like, they was like a little bit extra cautious to make sure I was safe, you know. And I understand that because, you know, I'm my mother's only child. You know, I'm a baby. So she, at that age, she doesn't want anything to happen to me. She wants to see me grow into a man. She wants to see me live my life. So I understand, but I felt like now, if she would have been like a little bit relaxed, I would be more outgoing. You know?
Got you. So, would you say your mother was strict?
Yeah, sometimes, but in a very loving way. There was one time I was a child. Like, my mom said I couldn't go. I forget where it was I couldn't go to, but I was just so tired of hearing no all the time that I attempted to, you know, to try to pack some of my stuff and leave. That ended up really badly. So as a child, like, I would be like frustrated at my mom sometimes, be like, yo, why I can't do this or why I can't do that. Oh, FYI, if you're a young man or woman watching this, do not try to like get up on your own and like do your own thing. It will not work for the best. Trust me. But
would you say you blame your moms a lot growing up? Whether it be for the way you grew up, or, you know, like you just said, her kind of having you sheltered, kind of what I would say, it paused you kind of being outgoing. But would
I blame her?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't blame her. But I can see myself, like, seeing myself seeing my process and seeing my journey. I can see like why, like, oh, if it wasn't for this happening, I would have turned out, you know, either a little bit better than I am today. I wouldn't be going through certain things that I would have had to go through. If that makes any sense.
No,
but it's not really blame.
That makes perfect sense. Would you, if your father was around at that time, do you think you would have felt that way?
No.
Like towards your mother?
Nah, because I felt like it would have been the perfect balance.
Would have been a balance?
Yeah, it was things that there was things that my mom did for me that no other woman could, and I love her to death for that. Like, certain characteristics of myself comes from my mother, so I'm very like appreciative of her for that. I love her to death. Like, got you. Actually going to see my father, like, as I got older, I noticed and I've come to see that I have characteristics from him, and I'm also learning from him, and he's also putting me on to certain things. So
before
I'm actually grateful for that.
Before we even get to that, which is dope, by the way, to know that, you know, you have a good relationship with your father today. Before we get to that, all right, so you could tell me if I'm wrong, or if, you know, you feel differently. What I'm getting so far is you grew up in a loving environment, as far as your household. You know, all women taught you manners, taught you how to be a good person, kept you sheltered, but just still helped you become who you are today. right? That's what I'm getting so far. What I'm also getting with that as well is a lot of the hurt in your life kind of stems from your father not being there.
Exactly.
All right, so I want to, before we get to, you know, how your relationship is now, transitioning, you know, I guess I would say from junior high to high school.
Uh-huh.
What did you start liking girls? What was your
Well, you know,
first time you was with a woman, with a girl?
Well, I've always liked girls, like them.
I mean, yeah, that's why, you know, I switched. That's why I switched the question. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what was the first, like, that age?
I want to say around 11 or 12. I just started looking. I was like, wow, well, like wow, like she's really pretty.
All right, so kind of speak on that, because that's something that I've always been curious with, as far as with men and you know, specifically who's been raised by mostly women. How did that affect how you treat women at that time? Just the start of really getting into, you know, I guess having conversations with women in that manner. Also versus now, like at the start of it, how did it affect your transition into, you know, women and all of that, and how does it affect you now with your relationships with women?
Well, when I first started, you know, like talking to women, I was always like nice. I was respectful. I was always like making them laugh. But felt like at that time, like when I first started, like I wouldn't say too nice and like too respectful. Like I would always like go the extra mile just to make them happy. And the more I did it, you know, the more I got older, I started to realize, like, yo, like, you know, I have feelings too. Like there's certain things that they might do where it doesn't rub me the right way, and then I should speak on it, because like as I was starting, like I never spoke on it or anything like that. Mm-hmm. In my mind, the main goal was to make them happy, and I felt like I got that mindset, you know, living with women, and I would overhear them saying, oh, you know, a man should treat a woman like this, a man should treat a woman like that, or a man should do this, X, Y, and Z, whatever. And I was like, okay, so if the women I'm around are saying all of this to me, mm-hmm. then I can apply it to when I'm talking to women, so that way nobody, or like any woman that I talk to, they can't have anything bad to say, because like I'm treating you like the way you want to be treated. But I've learned that that's not always the case.
Hold on, before you continue, let me stop you there. So you kind of use your teachings from your surroundings to talk to women.
Right.
Treat them right. They won't have nothing bad to say.
Exactly.
That's the thought process, right? So here's my question. This is a real question. That's your thought process, right? Let me do the right things. Let me say the right things, and mm-hmm. things will go smoothly. Did you only focus on doing right and saying what's right while in front of that person, or did you also carry that behind the person's back? Like, was it just an act to get the number, get the girl, whatever, or was it an honest, true thing?
Well, it was an honest and true thing, because like if I'm talking and if I'm trying to get the girl to be my girlfriend, I really genuinely felt that way, and if I liked her, and I really genuinely would say nice things to her and treat her right, and like make sure everything was on the up and up, and like she had never, like I wanted to make sure like she was living the life of luxury, or I was giving her the world, if that makes any sense.
Got you. He's trying to be a movie star. What's the relationship now?
With
women, you know, with relationships you've been in? Are you in a relationship? What is it now? How has the teachings of, you know, being around your mother, your grandmother, your aunts, how does it transition now as a full grown adult? How do you go about, you know?
Well, right now I'm single, and I've been in like relationships prior to this, and it was kind of traumatic, you know, like not in a sense that like I got beat up or anything like that, or I hurt somebody, anything like that. But it was kind of traumatic. Like now I'm not so like rushing to give my all to somebody. I'm learning that staying time by yourself and getting to know yourself best is beneficial for a healthy relationship, and then getting like your personal demons in order before you want to share life with somebody else.
Being raised by your moms, her being a single mother, does that affect that thought process? Kind of seeing her. Well, let me not even assume. Was your mother in any relationships?
Yeah,
she was. Yeah. As you can remember growing up.
Yeah. When I was about 7, my mom started dating this guy. Like to this day, like they're still dating. Like
so they together.
Yeah, kudos to them. So.
All right, so wait, hold on. So take me to that. Was he a part of?
He was
your
more
childhood, or
like he would take me out to certain places. He took me to City Island one time. He took me to an amusement park. He took me to the movies. We had fun and whatever. But he wasn't like. He wasn't like there, or like he wasn't the person there like I would run to talk to if I needed some advice, if that makes any sense. Or like he put me on game for like certain things or like other things, but I felt like it wasn't things that was important, sort of. So like he would just put me on certain things like, oh, you gotta look both ways before you cross the street, or
so basically just kind of being a good boyfriend to your moms and making sure her son is all right, but not making sure her son is all right, but not being the father figure her son needs.
Right.
Got you. What I was getting at, what I was gonna say is kind of seeing your moms, do what she did as a young woman, taking care of you, working jobs and making sure the bills is getting paid, making sure you have clothes on your back, food in your stomach, and things like that. Does that contribute to the thought process now of feeling like you gotta really, really work on you in order to be right in a relationship?
Yeah, because growing up, there's a lot of things that like I think about now, and then I'm like, wow, I didn't know how much this affected me. Like,
speak about it now. What are some of those things that you would say affects you now?
Well, I can't really think of any off the top of my head right now, but I'm just trying to like focus on one. Well, what do you mean as far as like what I've been through in the past, like how it affects me now? That's what you were saying?
Yeah, what we're talking about as far as relationships.
Oh, if I get being from like what I've dealt with in the past, if I get the hint that you're toxic in any sort of way, in a sense of like you out here like running the streets, or like you just got like a bad attitude, or like off the rip, or you just not, or if I feel like you're not compatible with me, like I'll just like remove myself. In the past, so like when I was in relationships, I would just like train or mentally train like, yo, you know what, stay with it, or maybe things will turn around, or maybe things will just go for the better. But sometimes it's just easier to remove yourself. That's something I've learned. Yeah. And another thing that I've learned is not tolerating disrespect from anybody. Like it doesn't matter who it is, like at all. Granted, I ain't no punk or nothing like that. I'm not gonna tolerate disrespect from it. But it was really with women. Like in my previous relationship, like I had a girlfriend. She used to talk to me crazy sometimes, and like she actually punched me in the back of my head because I broke up with her. Really. And there was a time.
What was the age?
Of 17. I was 17 when this happened. Yeah, and then it was just like a bunch of like I was actually in the Bronx work one time, and we was walking past the basketball court. And mind you, I'm not from the Bronx or anything like that. Like I don't know who's who, it was what. I don't know what gangs is outside or anything like that. So we was walking past the basketball court one time, and there was a bunch of Crip niggas in the court. A bunch of Crip niggas playing basketball. So then I'm walking with her, and then she's just like, yo, shut the fuck up, or fuck you. And I'm looking at her like, yo, like, you're wilding right now. Like, I don't know any of these dudes, but I'm not trying to get killed while I'm out here with you. So it's just certain things like that, or like if you used to do certain things like that, now I know it's best to just remove myself and move on instead of sticking with it, because I could have saved myself like a lot of heartache. I could have saved myself from possibly like getting beat up. I didn't get beat up that day, but I could have gotten beat up. So, knowing what I know now, like had I had a male role model to like just tell me all like certain things, like, yo, if she's acting this way, don't do that, or just remove yourself. It has saved me a lot of heartache.
What's the relationship now with your father?
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Like,
take me to the not only the age, but kind of walk me through that experience of reconnecting with your father. Like how did it even come about?
All right. So as I was a teenager, my mom would tell me stories about like all the the nonsense he did, all the nonsense that they've been through, or a little bit of it. And I had that mindset of like, yo, fuck him, or this, that, and the third. Like, I don't want nothing to do with him. But when I was 21 or 22, my friends, like Quan, Clifton, and Brad, like we all had a conversation. Like they was talking to me about that, because they know me well, and they saying like, yo, you're a cool dude, but it's just like sometimes like you do certain things that like that's not manly or anything like that. So they was asking me about my father or whatever. So then I just told them like, yo, like he wasn't there, X, Y, and Z, and I told them the circumstances. And they told me like, yo, well, your mom has to know where he is, so you should reach out to see his side of the story, because at the end of the day, that's your father. You only have one father. So it would be nice to see like his side of the story, so you as a man, a full-grown man, can make that judgment or make that assumption of your father, of whether or not he's a good person or not. So I took their word on it, and I had gotten in contact with him, and he had flown to New York to come see me, I think 2 years ago. And we had lunch together, we talked about everything, and he just told me like, yeah, it was just like, it just got to the point where like they couldn't be around each other. Like it was that much animosity, towards them. And it didn't have anything to do with me. It was just, their relationship was just kind of rocky.
Got you. Take me to that day. First of all, what was the conversation like after y'all had, that conversation and you kind of found out his side? Was there a relief? Like, take me through the emotion. What was the feel like?
Well, at first I was nervous as fuck, like me and my father. So when we went to lunch and we started talking, I just wanted him to cut to the chase, like up front, like off rip, because I've had so many bad feelings and I've heard so much bad about him. I just wanted to know if it was true or not, and I just wanted to hear his side of the story, So when we were sitting down and he was talking, he was just explaining everything that went on. Or like, if my mom was to say one thing, he would explain, the reason why this went that way is because of this situation, or the reason why she reacted that way is because of this situation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But when we was at lunch, we was laughing and joking, and that was actually the first time that I realized, like, yo, that's really my dad, because some of the characteristics that he has, I have as well. And then I just found it so funny. Like, wow, like this is really my pop. Like we act and talk just alike.
Was it hard to get along after the first initial conversation?
No, right after that, like we was, I was like, a little standoffish at first, but after that, like after I got to know him a little bit more, I'm like, wow, like he's a cool dude. Like he's not a bad guy.
How long has it been since y'all reconnected?
2 years now.
2 years?
Yeah.
That's dope, man. Shout out to Pops, man. So right now in the present day, 2020, you would say you have a great relationship with your father?
Yeah. Yeah, like he'll call me or I call him. I check up on him to see if he's all right. If he needs me to beat people up out in Florida, like I'll call him and be like, I'm joking. But
what's the What's the relationship with your mother? Was she against you wanting to reach out to your father? Was she for it? How does she feel? How does she feel about it now? You know, with you guys being cool.
At first, she was not with it. Like she was against it. But I had a conversation with her, and I said, "Well, I have one father, so whatever relationship y'all two had has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it does, but like it doesn't. So you know, I just want to have that relationship with my father." I said, "Mom, I will never put you in a position of where you have to see him, or like y'all. I would never put y'all in the same room to try to resolve things, because what's done is done. Like I'm not gonna get the middle. I'm not gonna get in the middle of that and possibly ruin a relationship with both of them." So I said, "Mom, I'm gonna keep you on this side. Dad, I'm gonna keep you on that side." You know, but as far as the relationship with my mother goes, like I went to go see her yesterday. Like she's doing good. We was laughing and joking, and you know, my relationship with her is like, it's a really loving relationship. Cause you know, like she was the woman that raised me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's things that I realized about myself, but could have been, you know, changed if my father was there. But I don't, you know, blame her for it. You know, she did the best that she could. But I still look back. I don't look at it as any envy or anything like that. Like, but you know, me and my mom have a good relationship. You know, I take her for drives sometimes. I take her out for lunch. You know, I spend quality time with my mother. You know.
That's dope, man. Now when we started this, we talked about how he's basically studying screenwriting. And for me, that's the point I wanted to drive here. Basically to give you guys kind of a clear understanding and kind of see where the drive came from to even, you know, pursue that. So that's what I want to bring it up to before we close this out. Kind of talk about that. We talked about, you know, your whole childhood. You grew up with four amazing women that I want to say that 4 queens who, you know, raised you. Your father wasn't there in the beginning, but today you have a great relationship with your father. 7 years old, you got hit by a bus. It kind of, for lack of a better term, I would say diminishes your security as far as feeling safe and feeling like nothing's gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
So
that's why I'm always on guard with like certain things.
So we went through that, and then, you know, relationships and kind of navigating through that. So kind of speak on now, out of all of that, what is the main drive and what is the main focus for screenwriting?
That's a funny question, actually. The main drive for me is, well, it's 2 main things. Well, one, growing up, well, being an only child, like I had nobody else to play with, so I just had like a really vivid imagination. And 2, I would say, you know, some of the things I've been through in my lifetime are like really laughable. Like it's really laughable. So I feel like some of the things I go through in my lifetime, you would only see in movies or TV shows. So like one time, for instance, I was in prom, and this is an embarrassing story from me, by the way. So I was at prom, and I had the Obama track phones, because I didn't have a full functioning cell phone until after high school. So I had an Obama track phone, and I had it in my jacket pocket. And then, you know, I was dancing and whatnot on the dance floor. Then it flew out of my pocket, and then I couldn't find it because I was patting myself like, yo, like what's going on? And I told my bro, like, yo, bro, I can't find my phone. And he knew that I had a track phone, so he knew how serious it was. So we had that look like, oh shit, better find this phone before anybody else does. So the DJ was playing some fire ass song, and I can't remember what the song was, but he stopped. He was like, whoop, whoop, whoop. He stopped. And then he was like, hey, yo, whose phone is this? So then, mind you, the school we was at, there was multiple schools within our prom. So then I heard a bunch of people in the background like, hey, yo, who got that bum-ass Obama phone, man? So I was so embarrassed. And I was like, yo, I can only picture seeing something like this in a movie or in a TV show. So I was like, I can write about stuff like this, or I could write about situations like that. Or there was this isn't funny or anything like that. Well, I don't find it funny because I'm still very upset about this. But one of my bros, Laquan, he had a we was all walking from the staircase of our school, and then our school had a bake sale. Like I think it was like the first week of school had a bake sale, anything like that, or something like that. And like Laquan's my bro, so he bought me a cookie. The cookie was fire. Like he actually bought me 3. The cookies was fire, and I started eating them. I said, yo, bro, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. He was like, yo, you like that cookie, right? And I was like, yeah, yo, this shit mad good. I was about to eat that last cookie. He swatted his hand and smacked it out of my hand, and then dropped on the floor. Like I was so fucking hurt. And then me and him used to do like games like that all the time through high school. And you know, other things I like to write about, like when I got punched in the back of my head from my ex-girlfriend for breaking up with her. And there was but yeah, it would be situations like that. Or there was a time all of us, we had went to the movie theaters, and we was coming out of the movie theaters, and then there was a bum. He was asking for some change or for some money, and I had about
let's say a homeless.
Yes, homeless person. I'm sorry. There was a homeless man asking for some money, so I had seen 2 of my friends give him money, and all I had in my wallet was like, I think $30. But the $30, I needed it for something. I couldn't spend it on anything else. The 20 was for my haircut. The $5 was for my MetroCard, and the other 5, I think I had to give my cousin $5 or something. I can't remember what it was. But the homeless person walked up to me and he asked me for some money. But I also had a McDonald's coupon in my wallet. So being the fact that I seen my friends giving the homeless guy money, I was like, you know what? I know this is not much, but here, I gave him the coupon instead of giving him the money. But I didn't know he had seen the money in my wallet already. So for me to give him the coupon, it just looked like I was being a dickhead. But I really wasn't. I was just being nice. And then I really needed that money for something. So to this day, my friends still like joke on me or like make fun of me about that. That's a lot of stuff. I can go on and I can continue. I have stories for days.
Listen, man. First and foremost, appreciate you for coming back.
Of course.
If y'all haven't already seen it, once again, you can go back to previous episodes and you'll see him as well as Laquan on a conversation on episode we did. So first of all, I want to get that out the way. Secondly, man, I hope everybody watching has taken away. If not, I don't even want to say if not. What I hope you took away from this is how you can translate whatever pain you went through, whatever trauma you went through, whatever experiences you went through. This is really proof of the work and the progress it's gonna take to get on track with that journey, to even start that journey. And now he's not at the end of his journey. But what I would say is now he's at the real start of his journey, because he gets to see his past from a different light, from a different lens, so to speak, and kind of write it out for other people to get, if not the same understanding, a different understanding. So everything that we go through in life, the reason why I personally say everything starts with a conversation is because if you don't question something you're not sure about, you won't ever have a clear understanding about it.
Whether it's never know.
Exactly. Whether it's a question in school about a problem, whether it's a question to yourself about whatever you're dealing with. If you don't start with questions and conversations, there won't really be a solution that's going to be found.
Yeah, like you can't improve on yourself unless you ask yourself questions, or if you have a conversation with somebody you trust, you know, about yourself to help you improve.
Exactly, man. So we all go through things. No one's perfect. Everyone has their up and down. Yeah, everyone has their ups and everyone has their ups and downs. It's just up to you and what you decide to do with that. And that's what I'm here to kind of help with, man. I appreciate everybody for stepping into the room. Remember, this is a place where having a healthy mind is priority. Do not forget, do not forget, follow at official Ketchup Clothing Line. I was about to mess that up, but I got you. I got you.
You got it right.
Officialketchupclothingline.com. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Socials.
My Instagram is _JAvalon, JAYAVALON. Shout out to Ty Freaky for making the shirt. Shirt's fire, by the way. Just if you want to DM me or like talk to me about, you know, this particular episode, you know, shoot me a text, shoot me a DM and whatnot. I'll be more than happy to like have a conversation with you about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can follow me on everything at Desmond Bonet. That's DESMOND BONET. I also have a podcast with my brother. That link will be in the description below, as well as every other video I produce on this channel. Before I get out of here, man, please remember, rest in peace, Breonna Taylor.
Right.
Rest in peace, Vanessa Guillen.
Rest in peace,
I
George
hope
Floyd.
I said her name correctly. Rest in peace, George Floyd. Rest in peace to everyone who's had a. Rest in peace to everyone. It's a lot of names.
It's a lot of names to go.
It's a lot. Rest in peace, and remember, not just today, not yesterday, and not just tomorrow. Black lives will always matter.
Every day, all the time.
Appreciate
no
y'all,
matter
man.
what.